What we've witnessed over the last 12 hours is fascinating. Brian Cashman said something that's true. The agent for Giancarlo Stanton, Joe Wolf, said something that's true. And yet both guys were dumb for saying either thing. Like Giancarlo Stanton gets hurt all the time. Duh. Mm-hmm. Brian Cashman said that. He said that late yesterday. I'm not going to tell you he's going to play every game next year because he's not. He's going to wind up getting hurt again more likely than not because it seems to be a part of his game. That's a fact.
Yeah.
And then Joe Wolf, his agent, responds by saying, I read the context of the entire interview. I think it's a good reminder for all free agents considering signing New York, both foreign and domestic, that to play for that team, you've got to be made of Teflon, both mentally and physically, because you can never let your guard down, even in the offseason. That's a fact, too, Tiki.
Of course it is. Do you think that Giancarlo Stanton was upset about this? Or do you think his agent was just upset about this? Because I think the only way the agent says something like that, with the statement he put out about not playing here as a free agent in New York, was only because Giancarlo Stanton was upset about it.
I think he was upset about it, yes.
There's no way he puts that out if Giancarlo Stanton just says, hey, it's not a big deal.
I agree
Don't
with
worry
you.
about it.
I agree with you.
This is Stanton being pissed off. But what does that even mean?
Do you want your players pissed off? Do you want agents pissed off? That's why what Brian Cashman said was accurate.
Yes.
But nothing good comes out of it other than making Sean Morash say, yay, I agree with you. Big freaking deal.
But isn't everyone pissed off at Brian Cashman already?
So he figures let's just piss more people
Seriously,
off?
Aaron Judge was for a lot of last season. He had a great season 2 seasons ago. He had a great season. I don't know if he was pissed off last season. I'm probably content with the money he was making, but whatever. It feels like everybody has a reason to be mad at Brian Cashman, including the fans.
But Tiki, you do not want agents who represent big-time free agents, in this case, Yamamoto, one of your top targets.
Oh, you didn't throw that in.
You don't want agents pissed off at you. It's fine if fans are pissed off at you. It's fine if that's the case. But it's not smart to have agents pissed off. And by the way, I also criticize this Joe Wolf. Because Joe Wolf's a big, tough guy. Oh, you got to tell all these players to be Teflon. Again, it's true, but it seems like a threat. It seems like Joe Wolf decided, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to threaten Brian Cashman that I'm going to tell my client Yamamoto, don't come here because you need to be Teflon and your general manager may rip you at any turn. Here's why Joe Wolf screwed up. It ain't up to you, bro. It's up to Yamamoto. It's up to your players. It's up to the player on where they wants to sign. Now, you can warn your players about New York and you can warn your players about Brian Cashman. But if Yamamoto gets the biggest offer from the New York Yankees, and he grew up in Japan with a poster of Hideki Matsui on his wall, then guess what? He's going to want to go to the New York Yankees.
Or the Mets.
Or the Mets.
Joe Wolf wasn't specifically talking about the New York Yankees.
Well,
though he was.
He said signing in New York to play for, quote, that team.
Oh, that
So that team is,
he qualified it a little bit. But, I mean... The reality. Why did Brian Cashman say what he said? Why did he say that about Giancarlo Stanton?
Because he's going through like this honest streak where he's just saying what's on his mind.
Right. But he said that because someone asked him a question.
Yes.
He didn't just issue a statement. So and I know we're talking about the Yankees. This applies kind of everywhere. If Yamamoto is thin enough skin that somebody, whether it's the general manager or a player, a former player who's an analyst, whatever, saying something that's quite obvious about you and getting upset about it, that's on you. That's not on New York. That's on you.
Would it piss you off?
No.
No, you were never injury prone, but look at Saquon Barkley. He has been.
Injury prone.
You don't think that would piss him off if Joe Shane came out tomorrow and said, Saquon's injury prone. That's why I want to extend him long term.
I went through the most, public, fumbling issue in the history of the NFL. Now, it's not like I had the worst problem in the history of the NFL. I didn't, but it was in New York. And so it got talked about constantly.
Did it piss you off?
No, it made me want to be better.
Well, yeah, but if someone from your own organization was saying,
They did.
we know, and that didn't piss you off?
No, it made me want to be better.
So you're mad at Giancarlo for being pissed off?
Yes, be better. Be healthy, dude. I mean, look, I know that he looks like an Adonis. He just really does. Like if I could take any athlete and just snap their body on mine, it would be his. because he looks the part. I'd rather be more athletic, but I'd want to look like that.
You don't want to run like him,
No,
though.
I want my own athleticism.
What do you think? You look like a plumber to you?
No, but he's like jacked.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, he's got muscle on muscles. I just kind of got a little muscle. He's got muscle on muscle, but the most important thing is being healthy and available.
Yeah.
And that's at the end of my career. That's what I want. I want to be available for my team. That's really all I cared about because I knew I was going to be good. I want to be available for my team. Why isn't Giancarlo Stanton focused on that as opposed to directing his agent, Joe Wolf, to send a pissed off, snarky note about how bad it is to play for the New York Yankees? That to me, that makes this it's not productive.
But
it doesn't do anything for anybody because we know this didn't come from Joe Wolf.
Right.
We know that this came from Giancarlo Stanton, and Joe Wolf is the mouthpiece. He's the proxy, so that it gets it out to the media and to everybody else who wants to listen to it. This is Giancarlo Stanton, right? Unless he distanced himself. Unless he says something publicly.
But do you think, as a player who's had an agent, do you think the agent comes out and does this on his own?
No chance.
So Joe Wolf only
No
did
chance.
this because Stanton, who
Yes.
I think has been great
No
at
chance.
accepting criticism in this town. This guy's been
Yes.
booed so often, and he's never batted an eye, and he's always given a great answer to that.
Yeah.
You think this was the thing that got to him? Maybe
Yes.
because it wasn't Sean booing him,
Well,
but
if he did-
it was his own
I'll
boss
tell
saying,
you-
yeah, he's injury prone.
But Evan, if he didn't, he needs to fire his agent. Because why do I care who the hell Joe Wolf is? I don't as a fan. It doesn't matter to me, right? So for him to say this, it only is relevance because he's Giancarlo Stanton's agent.
And because he's Yamamoto's agent.
And
That's the
Yamamoto's but
relevance,
Yamamoto
yeah.
doesn't play for the Yankees yet, so we don't care, right? So who does he represent? It's Giancarlo Stanton, and we know that he responded to Brian Cashman's comment specifically about Giancarlo Stanton. So the only way he responds is if Giancarlo Stanton tells him to.
Yeah, no, I get you.
And so if he didn't, then Giancarlo Stanton needs to tell us that.
I think that I love honesty, like we all love honesty.
Yes.
But sometimes you need smart honesty. You need honesty
So who
that
wasn't
makes
smart?
sense. Both of them. I think Brian Cashman made a mistake. Why are you coming out saying the obvious? Like, what's the point of that? When you know it's going to piss off your player and it's going to piss off an agent who, by the way, is pretty powerful. He represents one of the guys you're targeting in the offseason. Now,
Yes.
the agent also made a mistake because it's up to the player on where he signs.
Yeah.
So to come out and make a threat, because this is a threat. When you say foreign and domestic, I'm telling you, that is specific.
That's heavy
to,
language.
Hey, Yamamoto's a free agent and you want him, you better watch out. Now, the other theory that Yankee fans are going to collect from all of this.
By the way, when do you ever hear foreign or domestic? Foreign or domestic? When is the only time?
Politics.
Yeah, like when the
only-
president's talking.
No, not even. The only time you hear that
Oh, plane rides?
when you're hearing about a threat.
Oh.
You got to.
Oh.
I am tasked to protect this country against all threats,
Right.
foreign and domestic.
Right.
That's the
Or
only.
how about with beer? Foreign or domestic? You're a beer guy, Teak. I
true.
thought that's where you were going.
True. I did have a Chimay the other day. It's delicious.
A what?
It was heavy, dude.
Oh, good for you.
Thing is, that thing hits you across the head.
I think it was a threat. I think Joe Wolf was threatening the New York Yankees. You better be careful. Don't talk about my guy like that because I'll keep this other guy from coming here. Now, the other theory that other people are going to have, and I kind of buy this, is that Brian Cashman is trying to piss Giancarlo Stanton off so that he would agree to waive his no-trade clause if the Yankees are able to find somebody dumb enough to take his contract
Well,
back.
that would be brilliant.
Okay? That's what the theory was floated about the Mets with the whole Max Scherzer-Verlander thing. Yeah, we're rebuilding, sure, to get them to waive their no-trade. But I'm here to tell you something that you don't want to hear if you're a Yankee fan, but it's based on reality and truth. And you need to sit down when I tell you this.
I'm sitting. So is Sean.
It would be foolish for the New York Yankees to buy out and get rid of Giancarlo Stanton. Foolish, I tell you.
Okay.
And I know that's a popular talking point amongst Yankee fans. Just write him a check, get rid of him. Couple of things. Let me lay this out for you. Number one, you're going to write this guy his full check and his full payroll to just simply go away? That's what you're willing to do?
Yeah, he's too useful to do that.
Exactly. There's a use in Giancarlo Stanton. I'll explain how they should use him in a second. The other option is you look at Verlander and Scherzer and say, well, if you pay off 80% of his salary, maybe you'll get something back. No, you won't. Like the reason why Texas and Houston were willing to take back a player like Verlander and Scherzer and give you prospects while you paid for him is because they saw a use in both players. Right now, Giancarlo Stanton's value is at its lowest. He's coming off a terrible season when he played, and he didn't play a lot, and he hasn't played a lot the last 5 years. So getting rid of Giancarlo Stanton because it makes you happy as a Yankee fan, because you're sick of looking at him the way you were sick of looking at Joey Gallo and the way you were sick of looking at Aaron Hicks, that's not smart business. But here's what's smart business. I'll tell you exactly what I would do, because I have a thought. Mm-hmm. You got to pay this guy anyway. Writing him a check to leave? No. Write him a check to do something productive. So here's what I say to Giancarlo Stanton. I sit him down and say, here's the deal. We don't care how much money you're making. We don't care that you won the MVP in 2017. Doesn't mean anything. You are a part-time player. Last year, you actually were productive against left-handed pitching. True story. Look up the numbers. He was productive. For now, you are a part-time player who will play in situations where we like the matchup. Okay?
$35 million for a platooning DH.
Get that out of your mind. As opposed to writing As opposed to writing a full check for him to disappear?
Forget the money. Forget the money was what you're saying.
Like, I understand.
Forget the money.
Forget the money.
Let him play against lefties.
Let him, and if he produces and he stays healthy, great situation, he can earn more playing time. But in the meantime, you sit the man down and you explain. Based on performance and health, you're a part-time player. Here's why that makes sense, as much as you may not like to hear it right now. If you pay him to go away, you're paying him the same money and you're just eliminating him. Like, that's it. And you're not replacing him. So if you can make him more useful, and that is, hey, you're a part-time player. Forget the money. The money's irrelevant. I got to pay him to leave anyway. That makes a hell of a lot more sense than these ideas I hear from Yankee fans of just write him a check to send him away. You only write checks to send players away when they are completely useless.
Do you have a
Robinson Cano, completely useless.
Do you have a retort?
Giancarlo Stanton is not completely useless.
Do you have a retort?
I have a retort, and here's the problem.
Go ahead.
Evan, in a perfect world, I agree with every single word that came out of your bad breath mouth, okay? It was so on point.
There's a glass there. You can't actually smell his breath.
And I took Listerine today.
Exactly.
All right. The problem is you sometimes in sports you need to protect yourself from your own good. And with the Yankees, I don't trust that they view this as a perfect world because you know what's going to happen, Evan? Giancarlo Stanton's going to do what he's done his entire Yankee tenure. He's going to have a hot 2 weeks. He's going to have a hot 3 weeks. And then he's going to have a really cold 3 weeks. But the moment he has that hot 3 weeks, I don't trust that the Yankees will go back to their plan of the moment he cools off for a game or two, you're a part-time player. They will continue to ride that and point to, well, he was just hot. And they'll go back to their old ways. By removing him from the roster completely, as much as that sucks, you're protecting yourself from getting out of your own way. They will not be disciplined enough to stick to your plan with this kind of player because when he is hot, he is one of the hottest players in baseball.
If I'm not mistaken, the Yankees still owe him about $150, $160 million, kind of in that range.
Yeah, around Daniel Jones money.
Do you really think it's smarter, all of you people, Yankee fans, you really think it's smarter to write him a check to go away? Like, here's $140 million, leave, as opposed to, you know what? We got to pay the guy anyway. Let's use him correctly. And your retort is basically, hey, I think the Yankees are inept, so we need to just get rid of him.
It's true.
That's not a good response.
Well, we're not a good organization right now. The good response is what you said.
You like my response?
I do.
Because it's the real response.
It is the real, but they will not do that, Evan, because of the player. The player is so tantalizing when he's hot, man.
Sean, Brian Cashman openly came out the other day and said he's injury prone. If he's realizing the truth that we all know, why wouldn't he say to Aaron Boone, hey, let's handle him differently? I think the problem with Yankee fans and Met fans, we do the same thing, is we turn our focus towards a guy that we don't like, that's underachieved, that's not performing the way we expected, and our response is just get rid of him. And you never think about, okay, you've gotten rid of him, now what? Writing him a check for $140 million to go away, now what? You're not reinvesting the money. You didn't save any money. Mm-hmm. And if you pick up the money and say to the Mets or the Dodgers or the Giants, hey, take him, we're going to pay 80% of it, is that really better than saying, look, we got to pay the guy anyway. Let's use him in a smarter way. Like last year, when he sucked, and we all agree he sucked, his numbers against lefties were really good. Hit about 260, had an 850 OPS. Like, whoa, all of a sudden you're like, that's not terrible. Use him in that way instead of this guttural reaction to say, get rid of bad man. Like,
Look.
use him in a productive way.
Again, that feels right, but also remember, baseball now has changed. It's about lineup flexibility. It's about athleticism. It's about all the stuff that Giancarlo Stanton doesn't. So when he's hot and he's mashing, he's hitting the home runs and he's driving the runs, that's basically all he does when he is hot. I'm hoping that there's enough there in the Yankee lineup that I'm not worried that you paid him $35 million to go away.
By the way, 265, 942 OPS against lefties last year. I just wanted the correct numbers. Actually better than I thought.
$122 million. They still owe him.
$122 million. So do you guys really think it is smarter to write the man a check to go away
I
as
don't
opposed
think
to my idea of, hey, let's just use him in a smarter way?
No, I think that's first of all, that feels like a bad precedent to start doing, even though people have been calling for it for 2 or 3 years now. But
They did it with A-Rod.
yes, he sued the club. I mean, it's a little bit different, man. It's just a different headache. Let's put it that way. A-Rod, and you know, everybody knows what we're talking about here. I think Giancarlo Stanton is a great teammate. I think his team appreciates how he, as you said, Evan, handles the adversity that comes. In some ways, it's like he's the example, right? If adversity is going to come our way in some way or another, noise is going to come our way somewhere or another. If you can say nothing else about his game, you say, just look how he handles it, right? That's important for young players, especially a team that's likely to start bringing up and playing a lot of young players. So there's a value to Giancarlo Stanton that has nothing to do with what he does baseball-wise. But for the fan, all we see is the baseball side. As Sean said, as a only DH, even though he did play a lot of right field this year, he blocks like versatility with your lineup.
So stop letting him block.
I agree.
It's a simple answer to all of this. All of the issues you have with him in terms of, well, he doesn't play the outfield enough. He can play the outfield. We've seen it.
Yeah.
Play him in the outfield more. In terms of blocking the DH spot,
And by the way,
play him less.
And he wants to play the outfield.
Yes.
He said it last offseason.
And look, I have a feeling, knowing Giancarlo Stanton and how he has handled every situation in this town, if Aaron Boone sat him down and said, this is your new role. And oh, by the way, if you're hitting 380, you'll play more. It's great. It's a democracy.
Oh, look at that. Surprise. Earn your ability to play.
Earn your ability to play. This idea, and I've heard so much of it for weeks and months from Yankee fans, and I've sat there kind of like a fire burning, ready to explode. And I'm finally exploded today because of Joe Wolf and Brian Cashman openly fighting about him. I think you guys are all fools. You want to write him a check to go away. You want to write a check for $120 million so you feel better, so you don't have to watch him as much, when the simple answer is don't play him as much. I really believe this. With all the guys that have ever been written checks to leave, you only do that when it is over, or they're a problem in the locker room.
What if I told you $98 million? Does that make it more palatable?
No.
Because that's actually what the Yankees owe. $30 million is owed by the Marlins.
Robinson Cano, when the Mets finally decided to write him that check, there were two other reasons that don't involve Giancarlo. Number one, he just missed the year due to his second steroid suspension. And number two, it looked like he couldn't play baseball anymore. Look, if Giancarlo Stanton is hitting 137 in the middle of July, you got me. Then it may be worth to write the check.
Did you see him run the bases, Evan?
That's one aspect of his game.
That's a pretty big aspect of baseball.
He massed a 920 OPS against lefties last year. Use him the right way.
Great, so he gets on base and it can't move when he's there and blocks from scoring.
Or he hits a home run and jogs around the bases. He still has a use. And I'll put my money where my mouth is. If the Yankees were dumb enough to cover that much of his salary, I'd freaking take him with the Mets because he can still do something. You just, as an organization, need to be smarter. And as opposed to handing him at-bats and saying, we've got to play him because of his resume, and I've got a good feeling about this because Brian Cashman's starting to be honest about his injury history, treat him the way he should be treated. You're a platoon player until you prove otherwise. And I'm sorry. That's clearly the smartest decision the Yankees can make. Because this idea, you're going to buy off half his contract and get something back, it's a fantasy. You're not going to get anything back. So you may as well make use of the situation you're in.
Yeah. A year ago, we thought, and we're led on to believe that was going to be the case with Josh Donaldson and Aaron Hicks. Both found their way into the opening day lineup. So I have no faith. I just don't have faith that the Yankees will do that, Evan.
Yeah, but I think that it's different circumstances, and it's hard to compare them. Like Hicks, they didn't have a left fielder. Who the hell was playing left field?
And whose fault was that? Brian Cashman.
I understand that, but they came into the season. They didn't have a left fielder. Somebody had to play left field.
So Cashman then needs to find somebody that's going to play these at-bats that...
But Hal doesn't want to spend money.
Right.
So,
So we're going to be back in a spot where he's going to start.
We're in this circular game of blame. That's what it feels like. Circular game of blame. I kind of like Evan's idea here.
Thank you.
Platoon him.
Platoon him. Tell him, here's your new role, bro. This is the way it's going to work. And I do think it's different than Josh Donaldson and Aaron Hicks because, I don't think Aaron Hicks was ever that good. And Donaldson at 37 years old, I think truly did look done. At 33, 34 with Stanton, coming off a terrible season. But a terrible season in which he still did something productive when he was put in situations such as facing left-handed pitching. There can still be a use for him. And that's the difference. And I think what we do sometimes right now is we get so sick of certain players that have not lived up to our hype. And there's no doubt Giancarlo Stanton has not lived up to the expectations we had after the Yankees traded for him. We get so locked in on that, our answer is get rid of him. And that's it. And that's going to make you feel better. Like, I'm not even kidding, Tiki. If the news came out tomorrow that the Yankees were buying off his contract and they were DFAing him, and they were sending him every single penny, Yankee fans would celebrate like something was accomplished when the truth is nothing was accomplished. Nothing would be accomplished by that other than you feeling better. The same with when you got rid of Joey Gallo and Josh Donaldson. Yay, I feel better. The difference with this guy is if you have the stones, and maybe the GM has it based on his public comments, you just tell him, new role, man. You're a part-time player until proven otherwise. And that is far and away the best way to handle him, as opposed to making you feel better by writing him a check and sending him away. We'll get your calls coming up, 877-337-6666. Aaron Rodgers had a lot to say today.
The Giants suck.
Oh, is that what he said? Can I have that one more time?
The Giants suck.
That's Aaron Rodgers, ladies and gentlemen. What led him to say that?
Wow.
And what conspiracy theory does he have about the New York Giants? We'll get to that coming up. Plus, something became very obvious if you were watching last night's Buffalo Bill-Denver Bronco game. And Tiki's not going to like what became very obvious. We'll address it a little bit later on.